Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. Tom Carvel.
Maybe I need to dress as Cookie Puss next week.
We got Eli Manning cakes.
It's Budgie the Whale with Eli Manning's face.
Eli the Whale.
Eli the Whale.
Cookie Eli. Yeah, I don't think I might have Eli Manning as a cake. It would just be very vanilla and kind of blobby.
All right, folks, welcome out to the Lager Room. It is Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, are Harry Lug Nutz and RadioPete. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, we didn't do 3 weeks in a row. RadioPete, say hi, RadioPete.
Hi, RadioPete.
There we go, 3 weeks in a row. All right, got it.
Got to keep the record intact.
Got to keep the record intact. All right. Speaking of records, some of us blew our picks last week, and some of us didn't. So we'll visit that later in the show. Right now, let's get to some football, some local New York area football. Anyway, how bad are the Giants and Jets?
Not as bad as the Knicks, but bad.
Is that rhetorical?
I think that is a rhetorical statement at this point. I don't think any answer needs to be given for that question.
It's a negative number. If you had to give them a number, it would be a negative number. I don't know exactly which one, but there would be a little minus sign in front of it.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous how horrible they are.
Yes.
They did. This is. I said last week that last week they were 0-3, and I said there were only two other times in history that the Jets and the Giants have been 0-3 at the same time, and that was 1976 and in 1996. Well, there's only one other time in history that they have been 0-4 at the same time, and that was in 1976. That was the only other time. In 1996, the Giants won their fourth game, and I'll give you two guesses who they played in their fourth game.
St. Peter's.
Rutgers, no. The Jets.
The Jets.
So,
yeah. Sorry.
I
should have said that sooner. I knew it. I didn't want to admit it.
You didn't want to admit it, yeah. So, yeah, the Giants beat the Jets in 96, so that was why they didn't go 0-4. If they were playing, then if I recall, they went 5-11 that season, and that was Dan Reeves' last season as well. So, yeah. It was,
so 0-8 is like the Locusts.
0-8 is
every
like
24 years. Or what? How many? What
40,
was it? 76?
76, 44 years.
All right, so every 24. Every 44 years, the 0-8 Jets and Giants, and they don't play each other this year.
But what's the difference between 0-16 and 4-12? You know, it's just
4 games.
Yeah. Well, the difference is we don't have Joe Burrow, and if we win 4 games, we're not going to have Trevor Lawrence. So that's the difference.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you can go out and eat wearing a hat or a jersey if you're 4-12. If you're 0-16,
they stay in the closet.
I got to deny any association with that team for a good 5 or 6 months.
At least until mini camp the following year.
You have no problem with it. I've seen both of you wear Mets stuff out all the time.
That's different. That's different.
That's because we're masochists.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're masochists. You're not complete. Yeah.
All right. So they're both bad. And
next, I don't know. I mean, the Giants are without their best offensive player. The Jets, I don't even know who their best offensive player is.
At this point, their best offensive player is Sam Darnold, and technically they're out of him too. So
first half, he had a good first half.
He did have a good first half, but I don't think he should have come back in with that sprained AC joint. I don't think Knuckle Nuts should have let him back in the game. You know, I mean, sit out. What are we doing at that point? Seriously, I mean, Joe Flacco isn't. You know, it's not like he's Joe Schmo that. They picked up begging groceries at Walmart 2 days before and threw him in the backup quarterback role. I mean, he can handle his own. You would hope anyway. At that point, he's a Super Bowl MVP from 7 years ago. He can't hold his own. Why risk anything? You know, that game was whatever it was. I mean, they should have. I personally think they should have just not had him come back in. And he does it all the time too. He put Le'Veon Bell that was injured, and he put him back in the game. And does he know what he's doing?
No.
Adam Gase? Seriously.
there's probably a desire. Obviously, there's a desire to win games. He may feel like he's coaching for his job, and there's a lot of people that feel that way.
Yeah.
Certainly not getting fired after this latest debacle, to me, would lend some credence to the theory that he's going to be around this season. But still, you want to put your best effort out there. However, if you're going to get the kid hurt, that's not going to, that's going to make it harder to win any games and save your job, especially if your franchise quarterback goes down because you're putting him out after putting him in the game again after a hit like that. It's just dumb.
But we would never be saying that 10, 15 years ago. No, nobody ever said, I saw Terry Bradshaw limping at halftime. I don't know if he should come back in the second half.
Well, that's because he wouldn't stay out.
Right.
Bradshaw, I can't hear what you're saying. And he would go back out.
That's the difference.
Right.
That's exactly the difference.
Right back.
It's like, let's time load management. Come on. It's either you're going to get hurt and you're resilient and you can come back, or you can't. So it's I don't know.
Well, I mean, to sum it all up, the Giants, the defense seemed like they had a good game against the Rams. I personally, as if you were watching the Facebook Live video, I personally think that it was the Rams playing down to the Giants. For them to go out and beat the teams they beat the way they beat them, and hang in there and play against the Bills the way they did, and I feel if you listened to the podcast last week, the Rams won that game. The Bills didn't win. The Bills got a gift in that flag at the end of the game. But 6-1, it doesn't the other. The Rams, there should have been no way they only scored 17 points that game. I don't think that there was any doubt that they were playing down to the Giants. Do you?
Yeah, and you've got to look. I think they gave up 17 to the Steelers too, right?
Yeah.
If you give up 17 points, you should, And you could say, okay, they had a shot to either tie or win or whatever. You should be winning games if you're giving up 17 points.
In today's NFL, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. To good teams like that. And that's got to be, whether you think they were playing down, the Rams had a bad game, whatever, you got to be concerned about the Giants' inability to get into the end zone.
Yeah, their offense scares me. I do think, if you're looking at it seasonally so far, their defense, you have to say they're better than they were last year.
Yeah.
That's not saying a lot, but they are better. If you take the Jets offense from last week and the Giants defense, we might be able to beat Washington on
an off day.
On an off day.
Right.
on a day where half their team oversleeps.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have any doubt that would be the case, but the defense is definitely looking a little bit better. They're on the right track. Let's just put it that way. I don't think there's anything other than that you can say at this point, but I think they're on the right track. But the offense is just a shambles. I mean, this offensive line has gotten worse and worse and worse. No matter what they try to do to it, no matter what Gettleman tries to do to it with his hog mollies and everything else, it's getting worse than it was the year before every year.
Their offense is horrible, and the Giants' offense is so bad that they're the only team in the NFL now with a backup punter.
You know what? You probably do.
Yeah, because you can only use your leg so many times before
exactly.
you need to call somebody else in.
He's getting 40% of the snaps in practice.
The punter for Green Bay the other night, I think. He punted for the fourth time the entire season the other night.
4 times in 4 weeks.
The Giants punt on third down now just to get their defense back out on the field.
Well, look, if the Giants can't score against the Cowboys, then although you know what, I'm a Cowboys fan. I find it hard to believe that their defense is really just this bad. I don't know. There have been some theories I heard about they're thinking too much, or this and that.
No Cowboys
I seriously
team has
doubt
ever
that.
been accused.
Well, in other words, the theory was, it sounds ridiculous now that I said it out loud. The theory was that the system is maybe a little bit more complex, and they should just be allowed to play and be athletes and stop worrying about everything. I don't know. It sounds ridiculous now, like I said, that I say it out loud, but maybe this is the week that they kind of snap back towards being a little bit of a better team. But you would think if the Giants have a chance to put some points on the board, other than through the uprights, this would be the week against what has so far been a terrible Cowboys D.
You would think.
Oh.
You would think.
Yeah.
You know what? And I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, we'll discuss that in the picks section, but I don't see that happening. I don't know what's going on with this offense. Was there a ruling on the Golden Tate issue with his I don't know his former baby mama's brother?
Haven't heard anything from the NFL.
I couldn't find my TMZ app, so I don't know the latest news.
Well, the team said they're not doing anything, right?
Yeah,
no, they're not doing
so
anything.
they've got us back, and I haven't heard anything from the NFL.
I haven't heard anything. The way the tweets were going the other day, of course, that was all Adam Schefter and everybody else that what do they tweet every 30 seconds? It sounded like there was probably going to be something that came down from the NFL, but at this point, I don't think there's going to be.
If it hasn't come down by now, it's not going to.
It's not gonna, yeah. So
the NFL's usually pretty quick with that stuff.
Nick Gates started a fight with Aaron Donald. Did you see that too in the game too?
I don't think anybody should start a fight with Aaron.
What is he thinking? Oh my God.
I mean, maybe Reggie
He was
White
like poking him in the face.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's trying to get them both thrown out.
Who the hell knows? But that was after the game too, I believe. Both of them were, I think.
If you're gonna do that early in the first quarter and get the guy thrown out of the game.
Yeah,
right.
second, third play of the game.
All
All right, so they're terrible. Jets are terrible, and I mean, what do we need to say about the Jets? Is there anything different right now than a week ago?
No,
everything. They're
they have another loss. That's the only thing that's different.
They have another loss. They're
and
still
Darnold's
terrible.
out for a couple games.
Darnold, I thought, had moments where and I thought the offense in general looked fairly good there for stretches of that game. But when, for some reason, in the second half, they just forget what they've done.
Yeah.
But
it's a familiar refrain.
Yeah, exactly. A tale of two halves. I mean, it always is with the Giants and the Jets. It's a tale of two halves. And, I mean, it really hasn't been that way for the Giants lately. But for the Jets last Thursday night was definitely that. They looked a decent team in the beginning of the game, and that was it. I mean,
and let's give the Broncos a little bit of credit. I mean, they played a really good second half of football, and
Mark Rippon's nephew seems to be good. I mean, he seems to be the real deal. I mean,
they have. I feel like they have 12 backup quarterbacks.
What's the take on young Rippon out in Denver? There.
Well, they won, so out here it's just being a quarterback in Denver is like being the lead singer of the Beatles. Like you can't win no matter what, even if you win a Super Bowl. It's just and everybody gets compared to Elway, and
that's it. And Elway's the king. Elway's the measuring stick. And where does Peyton Manning fit into all of that?
Well, he's right behind him. But they've had a lot of quarterback.
Yeah. Where does Craig Morton fit into that?
Craig Morton. Well, on my list, he's definitely he's ahead of Tim Tebow.
He's ahead of Tim Tebow.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, the Broncos are another team that have been winning just enough games that they just haven't been able to get that really top draft pick. And they've got some key players hurt. Wilson out. He's probably on the tail end of his career. They're just going through a transition period. They were so good for so long, and their identity is they don't have an identity right now. That's the problem with the Broncos.
Yeah. Well, they got the Patriots this week, so this will be a little bit, perhaps
maybe
a little bit, maybe, maybe.
Well,
but
maybe.
Assuming they're going to play at some point, a little bit more of a test for young Mr. Rippon, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a test. But Newton's still out, so he's not. They're not going to have that. I mean, that.
Oh, is he out? I thought he was cleared. No.
Newton? Is he cleared? No, he can't. It's a 2 week. I thought it was a 2 or 3 week minimum for the COVID protocol.
I thought it was 10 days, but who knows?
I think. I don't know, but I know. I think basketball was at least 10 days. So it wouldn't surprise me that if that's kind of the minimum you can get away with. Then
I think they have to test negative 3 times. Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly? They have to test negative 3 times.
What? We're going down a rabbit hole that
it's
no one cares.
No one knows the answer, and no one cares.
Who does? Really?
All right, so they're both bad.
They're both bad.
Enough
they're both
said.
bad. A couple of good teams from this last week, though. Let's talk about the Monday night games. I mean, we had the Packers and the Falcons, and we also had a bonus Monday night game because of the COVID positive tests on both teams. We had the Chiefs and the Patriots as well. So a little bonus football on Monday night. Let's start with the Chiefs and the Patriots. I mean, what can you say about Patrick Mahomes and that team? It's just amazing what they're able to do.
But they should have blown out the Patriots without Cam Newton.
They should have.
What I took away from that game is that the Chiefs are really good, but they're beatable. On a certain nights, they're beatable. And the other thing I took away from that is that you cannot ever underestimate Bill Belichick's talent at using what he has and understanding the other team, because the Patriots defense kept them in that game, the backup quarterback, and they had a chance to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say exactly that. I mean, I'm going to give that to Bill Belichick and his defensive prowess. It's not like the Patriots defense is a bunch of pushovers, but I don't think, clearly didn't have enough to beat the Chiefs. I mean, what was this final score, 26-10?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it would have been more
And it
like
was
36 or something.
Yeah, it was closer than that because they scored a
closer than
touchdown
26-10
in
because of the
garbage
one.
time. So yeah.
Yeah, the garbage time and then the pick too.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, still the Chiefs are an amazing team, and the Pats though. I mean, they did play better than I thought they would.
They're always going to be there. I mean, the thing with Kansas City that should scare the dickens out of the entire league is that their defense is markedly better than it was last year.
Right.
And they don't have to necessarily get into these 42 to 38 shootouts because of their defense. They look. You have to also remember they were coming off a big game against Baltimore. It was obviously hyped up pretty well. Kansas City's still the team to beat.
Yeah,
by far.
Yeah, they're king of the hill, and everybody who plays them is taking their absolute best shot,
and that's hard.
Right. Everyone wants to beat them. They are the team to beat. And just think, how much different would this game have been with Cam Newton under center?
Right. Yeah.
It would have been another weapon for the Patriots.
Yeah, it would have been a different game.
And again, as close as it was there until late, the Pats might have put some more points on the board.
Yeah. I mean, that could be the AFC Championship game if things fall the right way. You never know.
It could very well be the AFC Championship.
If Baltimore somehow gets knocked off early, you just don't know.
You don't. I mean, Baltimore got knocked off and was the AFC Championship was the Chiefs and the Titans last year. So,
and success is hard to duplicate year after year.
It is.
In the NFL, more so probably than any other league, any other pro league.
I mean, the Pats have gone to back-to-back Super Bowls recently, but the last team, they were the last team to win back-to-back Super Bowls, but that was 16 and 17 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It's really hard.
And that was a little different team.
A little bit.
Yeah. I still think if any team has a chance to win the consecutive Super Bowls, it's this Chiefs team because they're getting better, and Mahomes is at the prime right now in his career, and their defense looks a lot better than it has in years past. So
yeah, it does, definitely.
They've got a lot of speed on that team on both sides of the ball, and I'll tell you what, Andy Reid is one of those guys who has adapted to this new game better than most old school coaches, and he knows how to put together a game plan.
He does. He definitely does.
Till somebody beats them, they're the team to beat.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I wouldn't. I mean, if I had to put money on it right now, I'd say. I mean, clearly, it's obviously anybody's game. But if I had to put money on it right now, I'd say it's the Chiefs Packers. That would be my call for the Super Bowl right now. And that brings us to the other Monday night game. What is Aaron Rodgers taking as far as, what is he eating, I should say? What is Aaron Rodgers eating for breakfast these days? Because he looks like he's 8 years younger.
I think he's having a big bowl of in your face.
I think so.
Every morning.
He's finally getting used to the new offense, too. I mean, last year was kind of a trial by fire, and I think it's starting to click. And minus the injuries that he had this past week, he's got a lot more talent around him than he has in the past couple of years.
They're second and third stringers on offense. I mean, they're weapons.
Yeah. They've got a balanced attack.
Yeah.
The thing with the Packers that I don't think they're as good as Seattle because I just don't think their defense is going to. Green Bay has played. They have not played the toughest schedule so far, they look good. but I still think Seattle's a better team overall. And when
I
it comes
think
down to playoff football, I'll take the team with the better defense any day.
I think Seattle's right up there, but then I look at the Seattle the Miami game this past weekend,
Right?
and what they should have blown them away. I don't care that they were in Miami; they should have. That score should have been 50-3.
Right. And if there's one thing you know that Seattle's capable of is it's having games where they just can't put the ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. It's still the beginning. It's too early to tell. But yeah, those are the two favorites, and I still stick by. I think it's Baltimore and Kansas City in the AFC.
Yeah. I'll go Baltimore, Kansas City, and nod to the Pats. We'll see what happens. And Buffalo's going to be right there too. So who the hell knows? But yeah, I'd say Baltimore, Kansas City, and Packers, Seahawks. And I said that last week and the week before too. Those are still my 4 picks for the Final Four.
We haven't had any major upsets yet when it comes to
Right.
those teams.
Yeah, and if you're a Seahawks fan, and what you just said about they have games where they just can't seem to get in the end zone. If you're going to do that, you want to do it against the Dolphins.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good time to have a game like that.
This is also the same Dolphins team that somehow every year manages to beat the Patriots once. Miami's not that bad. Let's be honest about it. They're not that bad. But
They probably have more for a not good team. They probably have more potential to be good on any given week than you would give to a lot of other teams that you go, well, they're not going to win anything. They're not really going to go anywhere. But they do have the ability. I mean, you can say that about any team, but maybe a little bit more so with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly the good point.
Well, we will see. We will see how this all shakes out.
Should we talk about the Eagles?
Yeah.
To me, that's the game that you kind of makes you scratch your head. I mean,
let's go to Sunday night. The Eagles 49ers. I mean, this was a slam dunk, right? 49ers were after what they did, granted, they only did it to the Giants and the Jets in East Rutherford, but they were the way the Eagles have been playing. I mean, the 49ers were winning, right? Right? Weren't they winning?
Yeah, even with those injuries, why not? I mean, the Eagles certainly were not showing themselves to be very good, or they weren't playing very well. I think you could make the argument, well, they are a better team than either the Jets or the Giants coming out of the gate.
Right.
And a lot of things certainly were expected of them, and they haven't lived up to those expectations necessarily. And the 49ers were injured, and you're right, they beat up on a couple of lousy New York teams, so maybe they weren't necessarily tested in those games. But I certainly wasn't expecting that Eagles team to show up and beat the 49ers, even with the injuries.
No.
When the 49ers play a decent team, they've only put up 20 points in 2 games. Take away the Giants and the Jets. They scored 20 against the Cardinals and lost. They scored 20 against the Eagles and lost. So, last year they would have won those games with their defense. They would have won 20-19.
Yeah.
So with half the team injured, they're not that good.
Yeah.
Good against lousy teams, but not that good. But then again, what is the switch that was flipped for the Eagles?
I think the flip was they finally got the ball in the end zone towards the end of the game. And two, just like as you just mentioned, the 49ers just don't have anybody. They're top. You can argue their top 3 players are out. So they're just depleted. If the 49ers can get healthy and if they can get these guys back, then I still think they win that game. But I also think it shows you that the Eagles, they're better than what they've played so far this year. The NFC East is just miserable. But the Eagles could very easily come out on winning the division. I thought the Cowboys were a sure shot, but after last week, you don't know. You could see the winner of the NFC. This is finally the year where the winner of the NFC could be a 6 or 7.
It could be a 6-10 team.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And who are they gonna? At that point, who are they gonna bump out of the playoffs?
Yeah, exactly.
That's gonna, if that goes down, that's gonna be a real travesty. Unless of course it's the Cowboys, in which case it's the way things are, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
I still think the Cowboys are the best team in that division, which isn't saying much. But it wouldn't surprise me if look, they get to play. They all get to play the Giants twice. So
Yeah.
I think you'll see the Eagles continue to win a few of these games.
So who can keep their head above the muck?
Exactly.
In the NFC East.
1-2-1 after week 4 is the leader of the division. I mean, right now, out of the 8 divisions in between the two conferences, the NFC East is the bottom of the barrel. Their winning percentages is .219.
Thank God for ties.
They're 219. They're all the way down.
That could be the deciding factor for the division.
That tie could be
crown
the deciding
is the
factor for the
tie.
Bengals too.
Well, there's one game you didn't lose, and so congratulations, you win the division.
Right. Exactly. And ironically, the best division in all of football is the AFC North, with a winning percentage of 700, and that winning percentage includes Cincinnati's tie. So,
I'm telling you, Cincinnati they're going to exceed everybody's expectations this year. They're going to win some games that nobody's going to count them to win. There's something that team's playing. They're playing pretty good ball. They should have won a couple other games early on. They should have won that game that they tied with the Eagles, and they should have, won against Cleveland. So
they should have beaten Cleveland. They should be 2-2 right now.
Yeah.
And it's probably, Burrow looks like the real deal, and obviously he's going to make his rookie mistakes, but it's pretty obvious there's talent there. And, just maybe a feeling of hope, just on the part of the team and on the part of their fans. We got a shot at doing something here, whether it's winning anything or not. At least, they have a shot at not being the Bengals.
Right. The other thing that they're able to do is their defense is better than it has been in years, and their offense is able to have drives. They're able to control the ball a bit, and I think that's a big thing for especially with the teams that they play. If they can keep the ball out of their team's hands, even if they're not scoring it, then at least they're not putting all that pressure on their defense, which they have so much in the last couple of years. But that's way too much talk about the Bengals and Eagles.
Way too much.
Well, who else is giving the Bengals and the Eagles the time that they deserve besides this podcast? Nobody.
To expand upon that, I mean, the top 4 divisions are both Norths and both Wests. North America, Northern America, and Western America is producing the best football right now, as opposed to the East and the South.
It's been that way for a long time.
But the NFC South is the second to last division right now, and their winning percentage is .438. So they're more than double. In fact, no, I'm not saying more than double. They're exactly double better their winning percentage than the NFC East. It's oh my God, it's horrible.
So the NFC West is the best division in football, without a doubt.
Yeah, the NFC West isn't too far behind the AFC North. They're by like .0.
But what I mean is, if you look at it beyond
the percentages, the NFC West. You know what? It is. They're both right there though. But
although the Steelers are better this year, the Ravens are the Ravens, and the Browns and Bengals are both really improved. So yeah.
And who knows what's happening? I mean, who knows what's happening with San Francisco? With all these injuries going forward, and will the real Arizona stand up?
Who knows who they are,
or have they already the past couple of weeks?
Exactly.
Were they playing above their head the first?
I think they're still a 500, maybe one game above 500 football team, because I think at the end of the day, the Rams. I don't think the people are giving the Rams enough credit, and I think the Seahawks they got to play the Seahawks twice. So
and I mean, we'll find out. I mean, who do the Cardinals play this weekend?
Cardinals are playing the Jets this week.
Oh, the Cardinals are playing the Jets.
So the Cardinals won a couple games, and Kyler Murray has looked very impressive in those games, and the media, and I guess we're included in that, although we weren't really on the air at that time. But there's a lot of people who hype anything good happens. 2 good weeks, and it's a hype, and it's hype, and it's hype.
Right.
And that kind of filters down, into the zeitgeist, and then we go, the Cardinals, they're pretty good. Hey, it could be playoffs. We're so out of it with with COVID and sports, and we're so happy to have them back. With any good news, any good story, we just want to grab onto it.
And you want teams like that to have if there's any year where a team like that is going to have it, it's this year. Look, you got the Seattle and Green Bay both at 4-0, but after that you got the Rams at 3-1 and the Bears at 3-1 in the NFC, and the Bucks at 3-1. I'll tell you what. Yeah, Tom Brady didn't get off to a good start, but the Bucks look pretty darn good.
Yeah, he didn't get off to a good start the first game, but he was also playing, Drew Brees in New Orleans.
Right.
So,
and I think New Orleans is. I think they're headed downhill.
Yeah, they're better than the record, but they're on the way down.
I don't think the Bears maintain this too long, so I think the top three teams in the NFC coming out of this might be the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Bucks.
It could very well be. It could very well be. I mean, as far as the Cardinals go, I mean, right out of the gate, like you said, Pete, look who they beat in game one. I mean, they just handled mightily the 49ers.
Right.
Coming fresh off a Super Bowl. Granted, they lost, but still fresh off a Super Bowl, and the Cardinals beat them straight out of the gate. So that I think that had a little bit to do with the hype as far as that goes. Maybe not so much winning game two, but still, things will start to shake out like they always do over the next few weeks, and we'll see what's going on. But I think Mr. Lug Nutz is correct in saying that the elite of the NFC, obviously Packers and Seahawks, because we keep saying that, but I would put the Bucks in the third place. I would. I'd throw the Rams in there too, but I think the Bucks probably edge out the Rams if they played head-to-head today.
And the other thing is, we could make all the speculation and look at past records and the history of the past couple of years and all that. Did we really know for sure what was going to go on coming out of the lack of a preseason and all that? You had to think, well, this is what this team should do, but nobody was hitting. There was no preseason games, so all these things were kind of a question mark. And I think it's going to be another 2-3 weeks, maybe to mid-season, before we really get a full shakedown and start to see what teams, where they really are, who really is good and who's a pretender, who really is lousy, and who had a couple of bad games because they couldn't get out of the gate, or they got a new coach, or they've got a new a position player or a quarterback or whatever. So it's I don't. We could see signs of teams that are really good and teams that are really bad, but I think we're still going to see some of those in between teams moving one way or the other, because it's such an odd situation to be in.
Yeah.
Well, I think injuries and absentees from positive COVID testings are still going to have a big impact on this season.
Yeah, they definitely will.
That's a good point.
A lot of injuries, more so this year than in years past. Injuries are always an issue, obviously, but more so seems to be anyway, more so this year. And then you get the positive COVID testing. And
I'll tell you what, the NFL would be smart once they get closer to the playoffs to put these guys in a bubble like the NBA did.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give Adam Silver some credit. He's done a hell of a job. I mean, the NBA's done it right. I mean, God forbid something happens here before the last game of the season.
Right.
But they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, the NBA and the NHL did a great job. And look, baseball had their issues too. A couple teams had some issues.
But overall.
But they managed to get through it. And of course, it's, football's the big one, right? With all the contact and all of that. If somebody's got it, it's going to spread.
Are bigger and
Right.
So that is the real test.
All right, that brings us. Let's wrap football up. That brings us to let's talk about baseball playoffs. Did you see that? I'll bring up Yankees just for a second. Is that a home run that Stanton hit last night still going? I know they lost, but the ball he hit, is it still climbing out of the stadium down there?
Could be.
For what they paid him, it should have circulated the world and spun it backwards.
Exactly.
No, I mean, he's finally hitting. He hit a fastball right down the pike in his wheelhouse. The Yankees pitching is going to be their Achilles heel. And Aaron Boone starting a rookie, Hap didn't, their bullpen is not, they have one pitcher who's somewhat reliable, who might be one of the top 3-4 pitchers in the league. This isn't going to get them through a 5-game series against the Rays. And I said this last week, and I'll say it again. They have a hard time beating the Rays, because in years past, if the Yankees could get to your bullpen, they could win. The Rays bullpen is probably the best bullpen in baseball, and unless the Yankees can really get to their starting pitchers and run up score 9 runs, this is going to be a long, tough series for them. And the Astros are showing who they are. The Dodgers are showing who they are. I want nothing more than for the Yankees to beat the Rays, and I think they should in a lot of ways now that they're healthy. But pitching wins you championships, and the Yankees do not have championship pitching.
No, they don't. They don't. You know what? I mean, maybe they squeak by. You think they squeak by the Rays, or you think that's it? I mean, right now it's the bottom of the third right now as we record this podcast. It's the bottom of the third, and it's tied 1-1.
I think whoever wins this game wins the series.
Well, I mean, they only got to win one more. Whoever wins this game, right? And they got 3 games to do it. 2 games to do it.
Yeah, I heard somebody say that the Yankees' offense was the problem with the loss yesterday, and I just thought, what, they didn't score, 12 runs, and that was that was the problem. No, it was the pitching.
No, it was the pitching.
They gave up a lot of runs.
If the other team doesn't score, they can't win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, to bring a rookie in as an opener of all things.
Well, let me ask you guys about that. Sorry to interrupt you, but because I also heard somebody say, "Oh, this has been going on for a long time, and teams do this all the time." I was never aware of that. To me, this is a little league move.
Yeah.
To bring in somebody for what, we're going to fool the other team into putting in all their lefties or righties, and then we're going to switch them out after an inning. Ha 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 ha. That's how like the small town team in the Little League playoffs, goes against the bigger team with the better players, the favorite, and we're going to use this trickery to, give ourselves an advantage. That seems completely Bush League to me. And I've never heard of it happening before, but that doesn't mean it didn't.
Well, the starting of a pitcher and only knowing they're only going to go an inning or 2, that's kind of a new trend, but it doesn't seem to work very well.
No.
But, you got to put the ball in Tanaka's hand, and you got to hope that he can deliver.
He's got to be postseason Tanaka.
It would be the equivalent of taking the ball out of Andy Pettit's hand in the second game. I think the Yankees have to set themselves up so that Cole, if he's needed, can pitch in a relief mode in a deciding game, if that's where things come out to. But even he's suspect to what baseball has become. He gives up a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
And so does Chapman in clutch situations, and the Yankees bullpen can either look like they can stop you one game and then give up 7 runs the next. Their pitching is just not as consistent as some other teams. And relying on this offense to always score 8, 9, 10 runs, it doesn't work in the playoffs. And I'll be honest with you, if the game's on the line and Stanton's up there, I don't feel very good about it. Yeah, he'll hit a couple home runs. Gary Sanchez will hit a couple home runs too, but Gary Sanchez hit 138. Giancarlo Stanton has been maybe the biggest bust as far as a major signing that the Yankees have had in a long, long time.
Yeah, I heard today he's played 40, 41 or something out of a possible 200 and some odd games since coming to the Yankees. So he just hasn't been on the field. And, how much you want to say that's his fault or whatever, but that contributes to the bust.
Yeah.
But he hasn't exactly been, ripping it up when he has played.
No.
Right.
Unless it's late in the game and you're up by a couple runs and then he hits a grand slam and puts it. And there's, something to that. But I don't think of Stanton as like a game-winning or game-tying home run hitting guy.
Yeah.
No.
The pressure was off him. They were up 5-4.
Yeah, he might put the game out of reach for you, but and again, I don't watch a lot of Yankee games, but he doesn't seem like the guy who, Stanton brought us back from the brink of defeat again.
Clutch hitting was what DJ LeMahieu did in Game 1, where I think it was an 0-2 pitch. He went down and drove one up the middle for the game winning. That's what the Yankees. need.
Yeah.
They need to rely less on the long ball, and they need to manufacture runs a little bit more.
They need to play a little bit more small ball. It's crazy. And I was going to say too. We talk about when starting Debbie Garcia as the opener. I honestly, I mean, was it announced before the game, because I didn't see that he was the opener, that he was just an opener?
No, it was announced that he was a starter.
The starter. That's my point. My thought is that Aaron Boone was covering his ass by saying, "Oh no, he was just the opener. We're going to bring in Happ afterwards."
Yeah, because the game could have been over in the second inning if they kept playing.
Right. Exactly. So I think he was just thinking that he was going to pull like a smart move, or that he thought it was. Let me throw the rookie in, maybe shake things up, and they won't be ready for it or whatever. And then once he saw what was happening in the first inning, screw it, pulling him. Oh no, he was just an opener. That I think that's where that went. That was my thought.
Not having Severino is really where the Yankees just are losing it this year. Because if he was anywhere near where he was at the top of his game as a number 2,
yeah,
then the Yankees are difference makers. That's like Cole and Verlander, but not as good, but close. Obviously, we have one, so
right.
I'm not suggesting Severino is anywhere close
Severino
to
is not Verlander,
but he's much better than Garcia. So it's
yeah, but why wouldn't you just? I mean, I understand the theory behind it, but Harry, as you said, the opener it doesn't seem to work very often. And I mean, okay, he gave up a run, he gave up a home run, but then you bring in Happ, who gives up 4 runs in 2 1/3 or 2 2/3 or whatever. So, why not just throw the kid? Why not have an opener who gives you 2 or maybe 3 innings?
Well, or at least 5 or 6. And here's the thing: now their bullpen shot for today.
Right.
Which is concern with Tanaka. If you don't get some length out of him, then you're gonna be taxing that bullpen even more. So why not give the kid a shot? And I could understand you might say, well, they don't want to bring Happ in mid-inning, right? They want him to start the inning fresh. Okay, because he's a starter and that's what he's used to. But why not leave the kid out there for another inning? Let's see what he does.
Or why not start Tanaka and then have Happ lined up as your Game 3 starter? It just. But I understand. Yeah, I get that. Give him a chance. It was announced that he was a starting pitcher, so Tanaka's into the 4th. So he's doing
so far so good.
Still 1-1,
but it's 1-1. So the Yankees, it's not like they're, it's not 7-1.
Yeah, and the Yankees have 1 hit.
Right. Yeah, they do.
And the Rays have an error.
And it's Brett Gardner, who's hitting .667 in the playoffs.
We love Gotti. Don't talk about
Gotti. He was 67 last year.
But here's the difference too. I can't ever say his name. Higashioka is catching tonight. When he catches, the Yankees' pitching is a lot better. That's my problem with Gary Sanchez, is that he is not only a defensive liability, and he's hitting 130-something, but he just doesn't have what you need in a catcher when it comes to really being that commander out on the field with the pitching staff.
Right.
He just doesn't have it. I think some of it might be a language barrier at times, but I think he's just not.
I've heard people say that they've seen not that he was really great at it ever, but they've seen a decline as he doesn't hit. They think he's struggling with his hitting and it's affecting everything else that he does.
Right. Well, he completely changed the way he catches. He's down on one knee now, and he's had a better year catching wise, but he's still. It's not just the passed balls and the errors. It's just the pitching staff does not seem to respond to him. That's why Cole, wants a different catcher when he pitches, and he's not. I will give Sanchez this much. He does occasionally come through in clutch moments with a big hit, but they're few and far between. And he's hitting. He had a horrible year. He had a worse year than last year. And granted, it's truncated and there's not a lot of games. But if there was 162 games this year, I'm not sure he would have hit over 200. You can't have that from somebody who is supposed to be one of your big 3.
Right. Yeah, the guy who's going to start, 4 out of every 5 games, or. And
Judge isn't hitting great either, but he's he drove in their only run today. So, and he's also one of their better defensive players. I like this Yankees team. Don't get me wrong. I just, if trading Gary Sanchez and Giancarlo Stanton is going to get us some pitching, then that's what needs to be done. I think the guys you got to keep are the LeMahieus. Obviously, Judge, who's up, I think this year's his contract is over. I think Voit has proven himself, and I think Urshela has proven himself. But other than that, that's the core of this team, and you have to get pitching and tons of it, and they just don't have it. And paying people like Chapman enormous amounts of money to be a closer is just. And Britton hasn't been that great either.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm a Yankees fan, so I'm used to Mariano Rivera coming in and closing the game down. But Rivera wasn't alone. The Yankees had very good, sixth inning, seventh inning, eighth inning setup guys, and that's what everybody coming into the season said. The Yankees are going to have the best bullpen in baseball. Just hasn't been proven.
No, it has not been. Look, Derek Jeter looking like a managerial genius, getting rid of.
Oh my God,
Stanton.
really?
Right? I mean, he got them for a song, and that's Yankee loyalty, blah, blah, blah. No, he got out from under that contract.
Huge contract, and now
they're
right now the Yankees are tied 1-1 in the playoffs, and Miami's up 2-0 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
I mean, again, we talked about this last week. It's good to be in Florida right now if you're a sports fan. It's I think this Rays team, they have a feeling to me, this Rays team, of what the Astros did a couple years ago, what the Royals did the year that they won it. They just have that kind of feel to them. They just seem like they have the right parts and pieces to win this year. And I still think they're the best team in the American League.
Oh, and some good news from today. The Astros did actually lose a game.
Yeah.
So let's go Oakland.
Yeah, but if there's a team that everybody can root for, it's the Oakland A's. I mean, that's
this is true. Well, Houston still leads the series 2-1.
Yeah, but they didn't
win one more game.
But they didn't close it out. So
no, but I mean, Houston, Oakland has to win out.
No, I was going to say the team that if pitching wins the championships, then the Atlanta Braves are looking really good right now.
Yes, they are. Yeah. And we got to figure out what cheating method Houston's using this year.
Yeah,
because obviously they are, because that's the only way they win.
Well, Altuve is now officially just a drone. They
went to garbage disposals this year.
They just control him from.
They could have
like when the sound goes on in the kitchen sink and down. Then it's a fastball.
They could have implants in their head. You just drill a
in their ear,
little hole right behind the earlobe, and then you stick the thing in there, and it's got a little antenna.
They have good pitching and clutch hitters. When the Red Sox were winning championships, you had Big Papi and Pete, those guys who just had clutch hits. That's what the Astros have. But I still, there's something about this Tampa Bay team, and the Rays are up 4-1.
Was that a home run? Because it was 1-1 a minute ago.
Yeah, it had to be.
So it was a 3-run homer. Well, you said it. Whoever wins this game is winning the series. So.
Well, look, if anybody can come back, it's the Yankees.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Well,
Kiermaier homered. So it's just
Niedermeyer.
I thought he was killed by his troops in Vietnam.
He was. Kiermaier.
Well, going around the rest of the league,
let's go Padres.
Yeah. Well, that game.
Well, the Dodgers are up 1-0 right now.
Dodgers are up 1-0. The Houston's up 2-1. The Braves are up 2-0, and the Yankees and Rays are obviously playing right now and tied 1-1. So you got 8 really good baseball teams right here.
Yeah. Although I'd probably give the Marlins. I mean, the A's have one victory, but if I had to say overall, probably, despite the numbers, I'd probably give the Marlins a little better shot.
Yeah.
To at least win a couple of games, but the Braves, they're just not giving up runs.
No, they're not, and their pitching looks looking great. I think it's going to be the Dodgers in Atlanta, and I think that's going to be a hell of a series. And I think you could very easily see an Atlanta Braves, Tampa Bay Rays World Series, and it could be old school baseball. We might see a bunch of 2-0, 3-2 games, which I think would be kind of nice, because seeing baseball scores that look like football scores from the 90s is just
No.
We don't need any more. 9-7, 9-8, 12. 12 to
12 to
3,
6,
12 to 6. Those are just even if they're unless they're really late blowouts. I mean, a good 6-5 game can be very entertaining, and then somebody scores 5 in the 8th, and it looks like a blowout. But hopefully, I mean, I would not mind at all the era of the pitcher's duel coming back.
Absolutely,
baseball.
I agree with
purist that I am.
And I totally agree with that. And I agree with it in football, too. I mean, yeah, sure, we all love to see high-scoring games. We all love to see the ball flying in the air and instant striking and a 49 to 39 score at the end of the game and everything else. But those 7-3 pitchers duels, if you will, back in the day, the defensive battles, I mean, they were, that was what teams hung their hat on,
Well, you're not going to see that until they change the rules again. I mean, it's just...
they've hampered the defense a little too much.
They want the wide open.
They want the high scores. They want that.
Speaking of football, should we do some picks?
Let's do the picks. Beaten by the coin.
Beaten by the coin.
I'm sure I'll lose to the coin.
No one wants to be beaten by the coin.
All right. So I got the quarter.
How'd the coin do last week?
The coin was surprisingly terrible. So Johnny,
surprise!
Jersey went 2-2. So you're still in the lead with a 7-2 record at this point. Harry also 2-2, and he's 5-4 now. I did pick up a game with the Denver victory, so I'm 6-3, and the coin was a big fat stinking ofer. And now at 3-6, but we still have a lot of time left to go. Yeah, coin Jets, Giants, San Francisco, which we all picked San Francisco, and picking the Braves. That not good on the part of the U.S. quarter.
Yeah.
So I'm using the exact same coin for the whole season too.
Oh, you have to. Yeah.
All right, so this week, Thursday night, we have the Bucks at the Bears, which I agree with you, Harry. The Bears, I don't think they're going to keep up what they've been doing for too much longer, but this could be a very entertaining game.
I think it's going to be a really good game.
All right, who wants to go first? Jersey?
Sure, I'll go first. I do agree it's going to be an entertaining game. I do believe that the Chicago Bears will be in the game. I don't think, based on what Nick Foles was able to do or not able to do last week against the Colts, but the Colts have they have
a great defense.
Amazing defense. It's crazy to think that they have such a good defense, but hey, more power to them. But yeah, no, I think the Bucks are winning this game.
All right, Tampa. Harry?
Bucks.
Yeah, picking Brady. I hate picking Tom Brady, but yeah, they're going to win. All right, let me flip here real quick. And the coin says, and as usual, the home team is heads, and the visiting team is tails. So we've got tails. So the coin picks the Bucks as well.
As well.
All right, Cards at the Jets. Cards are stumbling. Jets are horrible. Does anybody want to watch this game? Could this be a Jets victory?
No.
Okay.
Cut to the chase. Done.
All right, Phoenix, Jersey. Who you like? Phoenix.
I'll take the Phoenix Cardinals on this one as well.
I'm taking Phoenix.
Those Cardinals.
And the coin says tails. That's the Cardinals visiting the Jets. So we're in complete agreement. The coin is just waiting to see what we choose. Like, I'm going with those guys. Doesn't want to lose. Doesn't want to get farther behind.
Not at all.
All right, Giants at the Cowboys. Man, is this going to be like an 11-10 Cowboys victory?
It's an 11-8 Cowboys victory.
I think it's going to be a 37-16 Cowboys victory.
I'm gonna pick the Cowboys because I like Dallas.
I hate Dallas, but there's no possible chance in anything is telling me the Giants have a chance in this game.
All right, Jersey.
I cannot stand Dallas, and they're winning the game.
Okay, and the coin says Coin says the Giants.
Look at that.
How about that?
Will the coin be smart this week?
Coin is drunk.
There you go.
All right, Sunday night, Vikings at the Seahawks. Anybody want to take the Vikes?
No.
Harry?
No.
The Vikings I can't quite get a grip on them. But no, when the game's on the line, if it comes down to Kirk Cousins versus Russell Wilson, I just think that the Seahawks will be able to shut the Vikings down and score enough points. At home, they'll win it.
Adam Thielen is actually questionable for this weekend, too, and that's, so, yeah, I'm not sure. But, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think it's going to be
I think it's going to be an entertaining.
I think they're going to handle them. It's not going to be 60-0, but they'll win. They'll cover whatever the spread is. Let's put it that way. It'll be a Seahawks victory.
All right. I'm tempted just because.
Yeah, man. Why
what
not?
can I say? I'm controversial. I'm not really. No, Seahawks win this one. And I'm not. I can't do it. I'd love to take the Vikings just to shake things up, but no. And the coin says, coin comes up tails, so it is choosing the Vikings. There we go.
Coin says Minnesota.
Stupid coin.
Stupid
And
coin.
maybe the one where we'll actually have some, where we won't all pick the same team.
Same team.
The Chargers at the Saints this week. Saints and Drew Brees. Has he looked a little bit better? Maybe. Does he look like the Drew Brees of old? Still? Not yet. Chargers. Rookie QB. Up and coming. Looking decent. But not necessarily maybe getting the results that you would like to see from the old Chargers. I mean, they're only 1-3. I'm going to take the Chargers on this one. There we go.
You're going out on a limb.
I'm going out on a. This to me, this is. I wouldn't say it's a toss-up, but I think you got a team that's kind of fading, despite having one of the all-time great QBs. Although I don't think they've lost everything yet, and you got a team that's up and coming, is rejuvenated, and got a pretty good-looking young quarterback. So yeah, I'm gonna go against the grain here and take the Chargers. Harry?
I'm going to go with the Saints. I just think that they should have beaten the Raiders. I still can't call them Vegas. They didn't. They lost to Green Bay, who I think is a better team. They beat Tampa Bay, who I actually think is a better team. And they beat a pretty good Detroit team. So I think the Chargers I think they're very easily could win this game, but I think New Orleans bounce back. I think they win this game.
Yeah, the Chargers probably have to have a really good game.
New Orleans will have to turn it over multiple times.
Yeah, New Orleans will have to play kind of poorly to really poorly, and the Chargers will pretty much have to do everything right.
I'm going to stick with the Saints.
All right, Johnny?
You know what? I agree with both of you. The Chargers, I think they have the ability to win. If this game was being played in SoFi out in LA, I would be picking the Chargers. But I think it'll be a close game, I do think the Saints are going to win, especially with the fact that Eckler is out for 4 to 6 weeks, and he's a big production guy for them, the Chargers, the running back, and next man up, yeah, okay, we'll see, and I could be wrong, but I think the Saints eke out another win here.
All right, let's see what the coin has to say. Come on, coin. Coin says Saints. So
you are alone.
That doesn't bode well for me. Well, no, actually, that's good because the coin's terrible, and I disagree. So I might pick up another game this week.
Chargers win, and Chargers win, and no matter what happens in the rest of the games, we're tied.
That's right. Yeah, nobody amongst the humans in this contest, nobody is really going anywhere outside of that game.
Could you imagine if the
DNA test
goes 5-0?
Well, if the coin goes 5-0, then we're both very happy because our teams will have won.
I don't know that I'm very happy though about that at this point.
They always find a way of disappointing.
Oh no, the coin picked Phoenix.
Yeah.
So, but if they go 5-0, then that means the Giants will win.
The Giants will win.
And you guys will be happy, and I will be lamenting since I am a Cowboys fan.
All right. I think that brings us to the point in the podcast where we talk about some old balls.
Old balls.
Old balls. Those players who these youngsters might not know about. underrated, underappreciated, people who grinded it out for years and years and years in the old NFL. Today's old balls is Alan Page. Alan Page was a defensive lineman for the Minnesota Vikings. I think he went on to play. He played for somebody else after that too. I don't really have that in my notes, but he was the first defensive player to ever win the MVP, and only one of two people to ever win the MVP in the NFL. The other being, of course, Lawrence Taylor. He was the first team defense. Or I'm sorry, he was a 9-time Pro Bowler, 6 times first team defense. He won the NFL championship in 1969, and then, of course, played on a few of those Minnesota Super Bowl teams that, of course, were unable to win. What makes Alan Page really interesting, though, is that he sat on the Minnesota Supreme Court. He had a law career after that and became a Supreme Court justice for the state of Minnesota. And he was also on the NFL's 100th anniversary team. This guy was unbelievable. And he played in 218 consecutive games as a defensive lineman. So today's Old Balls goes to Alan Page.
Old balls.
Justice Alan Page.
Justice Alan Page. He played for the Bears, by the way.
That's right. I knew that. That's what. 4 years, I think he played with the Bears. So he played a good long time. I think 15 seasons.
Yeah. Last
218 consecutive games. You know.
One of the few Notre Dame players that I ever liked, because I'm a Notre Dame hater.
Well, he's one of these guys. I mean, I think he also has a Medal of Freedom, which I think he got in 2018. But he's one of these NFL players who's probably what he's done after his career is more impressive than what he did on the field. And he's one of the best defensive linemen, maybe top 2 or 3 defensive linemen ever play the game.
He's done amazing things after football, and he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So.
Right. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's an All-Pro. He's an All-American,
and he did win the Medal of Freedom or received, I should say, the Medal of Freedom in 2018. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading this now. I'm looking at his bio, and selected 1967, right?
Yeah.
Went to the Bears in 78. Played for 4 years and had 40 sacks in those 4 years.
Yep.
That's
after
being in the league for 11 years.
Right. That's incredible. And he wasn't an end. He was mostly kind of an interior lineman.
Yeah.
So those Minnesota Viking defense. I mean, you could talk about the Steelers and you talk about the Rams teams back in the day with Deacon Jones, but those Minnesota defensive teams they never could quite get over the hump in the Super Bowls, much like the early Broncos teams. But that was one hell of a defensive team.
The Purple People Eaters were insane.
Yeah. And certainly if you talk about NFL stories and teams that didn't win it, and that kind of everybody who wasn't other than the fans of a direct opponent of, let's say, Minnesota, that's one of those stories where everybody's kind of rooting for them, and now after the fact, everybody feels bad. Boy, I wish they could have won, even if it was against my team,
right?
As opposed to Buffalo, who everyone hates Buffalo. Yeah, they went to 4 straight and lost, or 3 straight and lost,
Yeah, they were a lot like the Broncos before they got over the hump later. With when Elway was in the latter part of his years and Terrell Davis was there, and they were a different team, but those early Broncos teams with Randy Gradishar and those defensive players, very similar a few years later, but just really dominant players who played in a market that wasn't necessarily on TV every week, and yet still were, like you said, I think a lot of people rooted for them because they were these kind of lunch pail teams that just grinded it out.
Yeah, I mean, any of those teams that if your team was out of it, they were somebody that you could root for, and it sort of generated a lot of affection for them, I think.
Old balls.
Do we want to mention the NBA?
Oh yeah, I mean, what is it?
We said a gentleman's sweep, and that's what it looks like it's going to be.
Yeah,
and you were right on that Game 3 win, Harry.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think Jimmy Butler can pull off what he did again. It's just the Lakers are just they just match up really well against Miami, and Miami is really 1 or 2 players away from being a championship contender. I mean, I give hats off to the fact that they got there, and that says a lot about their organization. I think you got to now give props to Eric Spoelstra, who, when he was winning championships with the dream team, nobody thought he was worth his weight, but he's proven to be a very good coach.
Yeah,
and I think Jimmy Butler found in Spoelstra a coach who shares his attitude towards the game, and if these young players on Miami stay healthy and they can keep them, I think they're much like the Raptors. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be around for a while. And if they can get another player like the Raptors did last year, even if it's for 1 or 2 seasons, and team him up with Butler and take a little bit of that pressure off of him, they certainly could give the Lakers a run for their money. But right now, the Lakers it's going to be over. Next game, it'll be over.
Yeah, the Lakers have the 2 best players you could argue in the game right now, or certainly amongst the two amongst the best players in the game. And LeBron has a real penchant for coming off a loss and getting his team ready and getting his game ready and winning that next game. Certainly in the playoffs, he doesn't lose 2 in a row too often. And but Miami's a great story no matter what. And I agree with you about Spoelstra. They were not, when it was the big 3, it was like, oh, well, how can they lose? And then they lost, and then they went, well, Spoelstra is not a great coach. He couldn't win with this dream team. But he's still there, and what they did this season, I think, along with what the Nuggets did, 2 absolutely great stories.
Sure.
Even if it doesn't result in a championship.
I mean, Adebayo is if he doesn't get hurt and he's there, maybe it's a little different. But they're just not. I'll tell you what. And Milwaukee fans would hate me for saying this, but I could picture Butler and Antetokounmpo playing together.
Yeah.
If you put Giannis on Miami, or vice versa, I think Miami's got a better team and a better coach. Yeah. I think if he decides, hey, I want to move and win a championship and team up with somebody, I think Jimmy Butler's the guy for him to do that with. And then you're exerting a lot more energy on Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard and others. And Dwight Howard, he's been the X factor in these playoffs. He was, when they started him and put him on Jokic in the Nuggets series, that series changed dramatically. And he's been pretty big too. Who knows if he's going to be around next year? I don't know what his contract situation is, but the Lakers, they have the 2 pieces for at least the next couple of years. They're going to rotate in whoever the hell they need to, and they're the team to beat. And we'll see what happens on the other side of Los Angeles with the coaching change there. I think that was a bad move getting rid of Doc Rivers, but we'll see.
Just to round out the sports news today about Mr. Lundqvist.
No.
Might be signing with the Capitals.
What I want to just tell athletes, and this isn't always true. I think Tom Brady is proving us wrong.
Sure.
Sometimes you just kind of have to bow out. I mean, what is Lundqvist, 38? He's going to be 39 this upcoming season?
He's in there, 37, 38, something like that.
I mean, Brodeur did it a little bit at that age, but is he even going to start on the Capitals? I mean...
I don't know.
All right, that's the first question.
And if he's not starting on the Rangers and the Rangers aren't close, how is starting on the Capitals going to be an improvement?
I think he should retire, but Look, I get it. If I could get paid X amount of money to sit on the bench as a backup goalie, I'd be doing it right now. I wouldn't be talking to you guys.
I mean, it's not like
What?
It's not like you wouldn't talk to us.
I probably would, but I'd be in full goalie equipment.
Yeah, that's even better.
You'd be on the bench with a little headset. Yeah, hang on a second, Coach. We're talking about the French Open. Hold on.
That's right, yeah.
We want to thank you for listening this week and every week. Once again, if you're listening to this on our website, www.loggerroom.com, LAGERROOM.com, we want to let you know that we are available to be, the podcast is available to be subscribed to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and new this week, Stitcher and TuneIn. You can find the podcast on all 4 of those services. And, of course, if you just have a podcast search engine, you can definitely locate it as well. And, of course, you could check it out on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, at the Locker Room. And folks, please make sure you do when you go on our social media, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and of course follow us on Instagram as well. Once again, I want to thank everybody for listening this week. For Harry Lug Nutz and Radio Pete, I'm Jersey Johnny. We will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your sports. Enjoy the football. Hopefully we'll enjoy our picks, and if they're right, that is. And we will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.
Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen.
Yes, rest in peace.
Hear, hear.
Look at